Honorable Men Discord. A woman was killed at her place of work by her ex-husband. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and join the conversation in the comment section. Let's get straight to this report. A woman who worked in housekeeping in a hospital was murdered by her husband, ex-husband. He showed up to the facility, went down to the basement in the area that she worked, and took her life. But let's go straight to the news report, courtesy of Detroit Channel 7, and we'll talk about it further.
Staying on top of breaking news as police continue to search for the man accused of shooting and killing his ex-wife this morning at Detroit's Henry Ford Hospital. Thank you so much for joining us for 7 News Detroit at 4. I'm Carolyn Clifford. Take a look at your screen right now. This is Mario Green. Investigators say he fatally shot his ex-wife this morning in the basement of the hospital where she was an employee. Green's car was found this afternoon on Trojan and Lasser on the city's west side, but Green remains at large. He is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach. Call police immediately. 7 News Detroit reporter Randy Wembley has been on this story since it broke this morning. He joins us now live from Henry Ford Hospital. So, Randy, what are you learning about the victim and the suspect?
Yeah, they were married for some time. That relationship ended and things really went south when that happened. Again, as you mentioned, I'm live out here in front of Henry Ford Hospital on Grand Boulevard on the city's west side. The scene here has been clear for a few hours, but earlier this morning, lots of activity, lots of police after they say Mario Green shot and killed his ex-wife in the basement of the hospital, placing the entire campus on lockdown. Mario Green is on the run. As you mentioned earlier, his vehicle was located earlier today. I spoke with the family of his ex-wife, Latricia Green, and they told me how they got the news about what happened to her here. Take a look.
When you see his picture, it's like, I know him. And to think that it happened at the place where she worked, and you say ex-wife, it just kind of clicked a little bit. You didn't have to say who it was, you just knew.
DeAntoine Jones is Latricia Green's cousin. He and other family members are numb, still coming to terms with the fact their cousin was gunned down. It happened in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital on the boulevard in Detroit, where Latricia Green worked. The shooting forcing the campus into a lockdown. Police say the gunman is Mario Green, Latricia's ex-husband.
About a month ago, the wife had filed, or ex-wife filed, for a personal protection order. Unfortunately, it was not served on her ex-husband. So it almost brings us here today.
A manhunt now underway for Mario Green. His vehicle, a 2011 Dodge Charger, found abandoned about 15 miles from the hospital on the city's west side. Latricia's family, now desperate for justice, has this message for him.
We just hoping, you do the right thing. Turn yourself in, man.
Now, coming up at 5 o'clock, you'll hear more from Latricia Green's family. In the meantime, if you've seen Mario Green, if you have any information on his whereabouts, please call Detroit Police or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. And remember, you can remain anonymous when you are relaying information that will get this guy off the street and in police custody. Reporting live on the city's west side, I'm Randy Wembley, 7 News Detroit.
Yeah, Randy, thank you. I know you've been working.
On the heels of me covering the fatal murder of the influencer, and me speaking on, within that episode, me speaking on guys holding it in as far as your temperament, your anger towards women when you're no longer with them. Clearly I don't know their personal business. I don't know what type of, the way they communicated with one another, if it was with disrespect towards one another, if foul things were said to each other, but that doesn't warrant taking somebody's life. And again, I'm holding men accountable because we're the men. Women are fragile. Women are not innocent. Women are fragile. They're not innocent. And I know some might jump in the comments and saying 2025, these women aren't fragile. I get it. But we're still the ones that's going to be under the spotlight. It's always going to come back to us as men. So I'm not worried about, what women are doing. I'm concerned with what we're doing as men. I don't know that situation. I don't know what was going on within their split. But to go to her hospital where she worked, it doesn't matter where he would have went. So I'm not saying that it makes it, it would make it right if it wasn't in the hospital. To basically hunt her down and do that to her. Move on. And I know it's easier said than done, but there's a lot of men that are doing it. All right, so the group of men that are actually doing violent acts towards their exes, I think is a small percentage of them that are out there, as opposed to those that are just moving on and just dealing with the fact that, listen, you can't force a situation to work if the person that you're loving, or the person that you care for, or you're infatuated with, they don't want you. Stop forcing the issue. And by all means, don't be so emotional that you want to take the person's life. And I really hope that I'm conveying this in the right way when I say this, But we have to do better. We have to do better. That's not the answer. Now they say he abandoned his vehicle, he's on the run. And that's if he's even on the run. Because in most cases, these guys decide, you know what, I'm going to do this. If I can't have her, no one can. And I don't even want to live because she's not here anymore. And I have nothing else to live for. Most of the time, these guys take their own life. So, as of this recording, they didn't capture him. And they didn't say anything about him taking his own life. But if it turns out that he ends up taking his own life, that wouldn't be surprising. Because a lot of people are doing that. Which I think that's unfortunate. But this is just crazy. Clearly that hospital is going to change protocol, as most hospitals do when something like this takes place. Or most hospitals do it also when it's not even their hospital. Hospitals generally, when things like this hit the news, they immediately start pouring money into metal detectors and new ways of slowing things down from people entering the hospital. You don't want to believe that these things will happen at a hospital, but they do, and they can. Why? Because human error. Human error is everywhere. In any establishment, there's no perfect establishment. Crimes could happen anywhere, especially when you're talking about domestic situations. Because when you have men like that operate like he did, they're so emotional, they'll go up in any venue. It doesn't matter where you are. It could be a church. They'll go into the church on a Sunday morning and take your life because they're just overly emotional. Men seek therapy. I'm not here to say whether or not therapy works or it doesn't work, but try something. Try prayer. Try going to a parish that you respect, a mosque. I'm not here to be biased. I believe in Christianity, but I'm not here to be biased. Speak to someone you respect. If that person is Muslim, an older gentleman that's Muslim, speak to that person. Ask them how they are able to live a life of peace and reserve. If you're Catholic, speak to a priest. Or speak to a man that you respect, that you know has been going to a Catholic church for a period of time. Speak to someone that you respect that's a man. Speak to your friends. Let them know how you feel. Say, listen, man, haven't been feeling myself. I'm having bad thoughts and I feel like I want to do something. Express yourself, man. Let it out. The problem is a lot of us, we don't let it out. We let it fester. We bottle it up. And then we explode. And then when it's too late, then we're sitting in the jail cell wishing we could redo it. Or we're under the dirt. But this is not the way they handle things. I don't even know if they have kids together. They said they were married, but I don't know if there's kids. Even worse when there's kids. So now the kids have to view this on the TV screen. This is what the kids have to look at. Mom's not here because dad drove himself to the hospital. Come on. We have to do better. Listen. And I don't make it my business to, speak on my personal business on YouTube. But I was divorced once. And even though I've had arguments with my ex-wife and she said things that I didn't like, I honestly wish the best for her. And as a mature man, I should say, and this is for all you men out there also, the mature thing to do is just respect the fact that things don't work out sometimes. And I have children by my ex-wife. But I say that to say this. We've had arguments where, there were some things that may have been said that were disrespectful, but never would I want to not see her winning in life. Never do I not want. Why? Because she's the mother of my children. And in this situation, again, I don't know if they had children, but even if they don't have children, you have to say to yourself, like, I just don't understand how people can go in relationships and go from loving on the person to wanting to see them under the dirt. To me, that's insane. You could absolutely not like the person, that you could learn a lot of things about them and be disgusted with them, but then just move on. And just say, you know what? You don't have to talk to me again. I can't deal with you. But to want to take them off this earth is insane. And the fact that, first of all, if anyone comes in the comments and tells me that they think that I'm being unrealistic with just moving on, please explain to me why I'm being unrealistic. That's if anyone decides to jump in the comments and say that. But the point I'm trying to make is, if it's not working, it's not working. Move on. But don't get to the point where you're so emotional that you want to take the other person's life. Wish them the best, especially if it's a situation whether you've been married before or it's an ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, and you have kids together. Wish them the best. Why? Because your kids are also with those people. Whether the kids are with the father or the kids are with the mother. Why would you want them to fail if your own kids are with them? You have to really be... You'd have to really hate the person to want them to fail and they're with your kids. And if they seem to be someone that is just foul-mouthed and they can take you to the places where you just want to erupt, then you as the man, it's your responsibility to remove yourself from that situation. I was told when I was younger, if you ever get in a position when you feel real angry and you feel like you're beside yourself, leave the house. Go for some fresh air. And I've done that many times, and it works. And sometimes I don't return home. I'll just, stay in somebody else's house, right, to cool off. But anything is better than doing something like this. Again, as men, we have to find ways to stay grounded and remain grounded. But the whole losing it and doing things like this is just unacceptable. And we need more men out there speaking against stuff like this and holding other men accountable and raising the standard on how we need to conduct ourselves as men. It's not going to be easy, especially when you put a decades with a woman, you have kids with them, maybe you have a home with them, and then that person doesn't want to be with you anymore, and you see that person going to get ice cream with a new guy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. But most times than not, we see it coming. We see the downfall in the relationship. So now when the person says, you know what, I want to make it final, don't go losing it and wanting to see them off this earth because you can't have them. That's ridiculous. All right. That's my thoughts on this. That's my thoughts on this. I just think this is horrible for her to be at work and all those people to see that happen right in front of their eyes, knowing she was about to file a restraining order, but they said in the news report that for whatever reason she was unable to do it. And those things don't even work either. Those things really don't work, by the way, restraining orders, because the guys are so upset, or the women are so upset, whoever the restraining order is on, they could care less about some paper. When they have it in their mind that, you know, they want to get to that person, they're so upset that they don't want to see this person around anymore. A piece of paper means nothing. What's your thoughts on this? I think I was real clear on my thoughts on this. And as always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Stay honorable.